Hooks, rods, rigs are all important in us catching our quarry, but there's another one that's just as important. That is the baited area, often overlooked and not given much thought. In this video, we are going to look at all different aspects of the baited area, whether you're targeting margins or open water, by catapult, by spom, or by boat. There is so much more we can do to set the perfect trap. So let's get into it. Well guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are at the awesome Merrington Carp Fishery in Shropshire, a beautiful complex of 3 lakes. We've nested up on the main lake and I'm here on the official YouTubers Vloggers social. We all arrived yesterday morning, all met in the car park. We've done the draw and I came out quite early and I've chose to fish swim number 7. Now it gives me so many options, swim 7. I've got open water, but I've got a lovely margin to my left-hand side as well. So you do get quite a bit of water in this swim, and like I say, margins at this time of year, they hold carp. Unfortunately, it's been a very quiet first sort of night for me, and I think it has over the lake. I think it's only done 2 fish so far, but it was so hot yesterday, horrible heat, really struggled in it, to be fair. The little hound as well, he just spent most of the day tucked in the bushes out of the way, but we've got a lot more cloud cover today. There's some wind pushing in later, so I'm hoping with that weather front moving in, it might encourage to get the fish on the feed and get their heads down a little bit. But to my right hand side, I have got Joe from Nothing But Fishing. Next door to him, I've got the fishing bloggers as well, Hugh and Sean. So we're going to be inviting those guys round later to look at this spotted area, this, whether you're fishing boilie or particle. I'm going to lay the spot open, get those guys over and see what they would do in this approach. How would they approach it? Where would they put the hook baits? What colours they would choose, and just get their slant on things, their ideas, how they would go about it. So that's going to be really interesting to get their view on stuff. So first up, we're going to look at this open water spot. That's the first one. Then we'll get into margins and go on from there. But first up, let's get the area set and look at open water. Guys, I said it was a quiet morning, but my margin rod has just ripped off, and it looks like we've got a nice scaly one about to go in the net here. In you come, mate. Get in that net. Yes, it's in. Oh, what a result. Do you reckon that, Henry? Happy with that, mate, aren't we? You happy with that? Well, after that fight, after me saying it was a quiet morning, it turned out not to be. Margin rod has come good and we are graced with this beautiful mirror from Merrington. Have a look at that. That is an absolute pearler from the margin spot. That mix we put out yesterday, a few little boilies walking down the edge and giving it the Hansel and Gretel approach, which I'll go into a little bit later, which is all about that baited spot. And yeah, it's always nice when it comes good, especially on the first morning as well. But yeah, I am absolutely elated to be holding a Merrington mirror, and he is absolutely immaculate. I will quickly spin the kip around and we'll show you the other side of this beautiful, beautiful mirror. And there's the other side. Check him out. He is amazing. What a wicked fish. Beautiful scales on him, and I'm so buzzing to get one, really, really am. So we'll crack on with the video now and talk to you about the baited spots. And as I said before, I'll be inviting Joe from next door over, and the fishing bloggers as well will be coming over to share their views on baited areas, baited spots, and how they go about it. But so far, we're one to the good. So less waffling, let's get this one back and we'll crack on with this baited spot video. Mega. Mwah. One last look before she goes back. I've jumped in the waders purely because the margins are quite shallow here, so it's easier to put them back when you're in waders. So once again, thank you. Mwah. Let's get you on your way. So as we said, guys, first up is the spotted area. Now this is something we're all very, very familiar with. You've arrived at your session for your 24, 48 hours, you found your spot, you popped your marker out, and now it's time to go to work with the spawn. Just filling it in and then putting your hook baits near it and then hoping for the best. But I think there's a lot more we can do if we think about that spotted area a little bit more in detail. For this exercise, I've got a couple of helpers as well. I've got this guy here, this is Bill. And his mate Ben is already currently in place, ready for a feed. So we'll put the carp in place. This is literally illustrations to give you an idea in your mind's eye of the baited area, to have a proper little think about it really. So without further ado, the carp are in place. Let's get the food there and talk in detail about the spotted area. So you found your spot, you've popped your marker up, it's time to go to it with the spot. So for this demonstration, we're going to be using this stuff, the good old hemp and maize, which forms most spod mixes out there today. So once again, what we'll do, we'll get this now on the area and then we'll have a chat to you about going forward and a bit more in depth of how this spot can work better for you. So guys, spotted area done. You've just found your spot. You've put out 10 spoms, which seems to be a sort of rule of thumb go-to to start a session off. People say to me, oh, I'll put 10 spoms out, but it's actually quite a lot of bait. When you see it actually spread out like this, and it's not even spread out properly yet, all I've done is as it would land in the water columns. I know depths of lake will change and the spread will be more if the lake is deeper, but on the whole, just to give you an idea, this is pretty much what you're putting out if you're putting 10 spoms out. So let's say, for instance, let's mix it up. So it's fallen through the water columns. Let's mix it up. That's your area now that you've put out, which if you look at it, it's a lot of hook baits. If you think of it like that, you're trying to get a pickup off one fish. That is a lot of different grains of maize and corn and hemp, and you know, if we put boilies into the mix as well, I'm purposely just using hemp and maize here, but to just give you an idea, that is 10 spoms. Now imagine that on your spot, how much the fish have got to go through to get to your hook bait. Do you know what I mean? I know you can come in and people think about, well, if I use pink, they home in on it quicker and things like that. But the whole purpose was this, was to give you an idea. If you're just putting your spom out there, plattering it, you know, nears damn it, as we do, and I'm guilty of that as well. You know, I'd be quite happy if I was spodding on an area at sort of 70 yards and I've got it all in this area. I'd probably consider myself a very good spodding angler. It very rarely happens, but I wanted to give you this idea of how much bait is 10 spoms. Well, there you go, that is 10 spoms worth. Now, in terms of placing of the hook bait with this, now, ideally, for me, I'd probably be placing it at the front. This is where I'd probably be placing my hook bait. I'd either want it sort of here in this area, or I'd want it sort of to the side over here. So as we've got Bill there coming in, so I'd have it normally to the side of the area and one at the front. That is how I'd normally fish 2 rods on a spot, or you know, or vice versa, have one there and one over here at this area. But predominantly I'm fishing to the side or the front of the mix itself. I wouldn't want to be fishing at the back here with the rigs, because you don't want your lines going through the mix as the fish are coming in. As Bill and Ben are coming in now, if the fish touch a line and pick it up, that will spook the fish and they're off, you know, you've scared them off the spot because it's alien to them. Now, that's the whole reason you don't want your main line going through the spot. So fishing to the front or to the side would be what I advise myself on a spotted area. Now, the other thing I wanted to speak to you about was the shape of the area. Now, I know it's a lot harder when you're spomming, but if you're using a catapult or if you've got access to a boat on your venue, you can shape an area, which makes it even better. So I'm going to quickly now, if I was in a boat, or I've got the ability to fish very, very short and I'm in a lot more control of the spom, I can then create a shaped spotted area. And what I mean by this is I like to work in a C shape, and I'll demonstrate that now for you. there you go guys, perfect accuracy with my spom, and I've created the perfect sea area. Now I know you're going to be saying, no, there's no way anyone can do that at 50 yards or whatever. The shorter the range, the more control you've got over the spom. There's no two ways about it. And I know there is a lot of good anglers watching this who have got phenomenal control with the spom, and they are able to place it down the same hole as the last one. They're very, very good. So if you've got the ability to do that, I generally think this would be a great spotted area. Instead of just having one big circle and just pummeling it out there, if you think about the shape and think about the fish coming in and being able to move and bounce, I just think this, for me, is the perfect spotted area, that being the C shape. I've positioned 2 rigs. I'd have one here and one here, sort of in the middle, but you're not amongst the bait. Now, yes, when the fish come in and they are going to be tearing it up and smashing it up, the smaller items will move and you'll get kicks into the area where your rigs are, but predominantly the main bulk of the feed, or the heavier stuff in your mix, will pretty much stay in the line it's at as the fish are moving in and eating it up. So I feel, personally, I like having the rigs where they are there, dead in the centre. I may have one off to the side, possibly, now and again, but predominantly when I fish it like this, I like to have the rigs where they are, as you can see on the screen there. Now, if I'm baiting up by boat, if I've got the, I'm fishing those venues, especially when I've gone abroad and I've fired the marker out, I can go out in the boat and I can literally put this into practice perfectly. I'm over the side of the boat and I'm literally forming the letter C in a big arc, and I might, for demonstration purposes, we're working on a very small spot here, but if I'm out on my European adventures or I've got the ability to fish those big ponds with the boats, then when I'm out there, I'm making a big arc, and I'm probably using a sort of 12-foot area, using a 12-foot rod if you like, and using that as the letter C as I'm spreading the bait out. And just as I would do there, I'll be putting the rigs in place as I've got them here. And I've just found over the years this has worked really, really well for me, trying my best to work to the letter C in a spotted situation as opposed to just one big round spot of bait. So definitely give it a go. Now, you could talk about doing this with boilies as well. I think boilies are a little bit different because you can get more of a spread with boilies, and the fish seem to bounce between the baits with boilies. I've got a couple of anglers to my left hand side now. We've got Joe from Nothing But Fishing, and we've got Sean and Hugh over from the fishing bloggers as well, and I want their slant on it. Where would they put their rigs in this scenario? I'm going to mess it all up as it was before, as a normal round baited area. I'm going to ask them to present their baits where they would, and then I'll put the letter C out as well, ask them to do the same, and just get their take on it and where they would put their rigs. So let's go and grab them and see what they think. So guys, with me now I have Joe from Nothing But Fishing. Welcome, mate. Welcome. So you're probably impressed with my perfectly spotted area.
I was watching you set this up next door and thinking, I've never seen this on the bank before, complete with carp cushions. But no, impressive little setup.
I know. I mean, if we could all spot at 80 yards and get it in this area, we'd be pretty happy, wouldn't we? But yeah, today, mate, I'm just talking about spotted areas, the benefits of trying to keep hook baits off these sides or in the middle, and I just want your slant on it. If this was your spotted area, presented like this, and I'm giving you 2 rigs, where would you present these rigs on this area? Or would you be happy with this area to start with?
If I could spot this accurately at any distance, I'd be very happy to start with. So yeah, if I was able to do this and then get 2 rods on this spot, I'd be happy if they were just in the vicinity. I'm not the most accurate angler at distance and things like that, but where I position them, I'm often one of those that I like to think I'm very particular, but often it'll be, that'll do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in the area. But it also depends, if they're clearly grubbing around actively, competitively, I don't think it's as important exactly where it lands in my eyes. Yeah. If they're finicky or you pick up a certain behaviour of how they're feeding, then yes, I think it's going to make more of a difference. Right,
okay. In terms of how much bait here, how much would you say is here in terms of spom's worth? I only ask you because I have put an amount out.
Can I pick a certain amount? Yeah. And if that's about a spom, that's, I'm going to guess 20, 25 spoms?
Believe it or not, that's only 10 spoms worth.
Is it really?
10 large spoms.
Okay.
It is, I mean, I use the mediums myself, but it is, we measured it on large because 1 scoop of that spoon is 1 big spom.
Well, that's impressive how much just that amount is spread. I know you've obviously done this by hand, but that's, if anything, going to be, with hen and corn, going to be more spread than this.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's landed on the lake
People
bed.
think I start off my session, I'm going to just put 10 spoms out to give them a little bit, but it's quite a big area, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, And I think when you can visually see it like this, you're like, right, that is how much is sitting out there before they pick up, you know, that hook bait.
Yeah.
As opposed to. So, mate, if I give you these 2 rigs, then,
Okay.
where would you position them in this scenario?
Picturing that we're fishing from this side?
So the viewers are looking at us, so the viewers are where the rods are, so they're coming this way.
Okay, in which case, I'd rather be somewhere that side of it. Excuse me that noise.
So would you have it just into the mix if you could?
Just in, yeah. I don't want to be right on the edge.
Yeah.
Because I still want to be in the mix of
them coming in and smashing it.
Coming in, you like to think they're seeing this huge dinner plate of food. That's where they're focused. But I don't want to have my lines going straight across the feeding spot. Liners, they're swimming into line.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was going to be the next question, but that's why I'd be on the edge of it. So it's starting to get into where they'll be grabbing around, but not being too in their face that I've got a line cutting through the swim.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, mate, pretty much the same as what I've sort of set out, edge of the area or nearest damn it in that sort of front bit, and letting them coming in as we've got Bill and Ben either side here, showcasing the feeding area. What I'm going to quickly do now, I've talked about a scenario of spodding where I like to create almost like a shape of bait. So I'm going to quickly fast forward now and we'll cut to the part where we've got the shape in place.
Magic of editing.
And there we go. There is the C section in place. So predominantly, mate, I like to try and get a shaped area now, as opposed to sort of a round one. I just wanted to think, if you were presented with this one, what would you think would be the benefits of this? And obviously, I've done it in a very small area we've got to be realistic, to do this at 80 yards with one spawn, it ain't happening. Yeah. I mean, you've got to be absolutely crazy good to do this, but you know, a lot of my angling is done by boat. I'm privileged to be able to fish a few waters where I can go out and literally put it into shapes. And predominantly I like to use this C shape, and I like to have my rig sort of here in the middle, one either side. I was just wondering, looking at this from your view, how would you think this is a benefit, and where would you place your rigs in this scenario? Yeah,
and this isn't peer pressure because you've just told me where you'd put yours. I would do exactly the same in putting them within so especially if the rod's coming from there, for the same reason that I don't want to be cut across the baited section. But also I think we've all seen enough underwater footage now to know that yes, occasionally they'll go straight, but often when the fish comes in, because their eyes are on the side, they see the side, and they'll move more sideways on a spot. So I'm guessing if they've come in here and your rig's here, they might move along on the inside. That's my thinking for the sea, and keeping them on a movement, that they're always going to be going round the spot and not just coming in and going. Yeah. They've got a patrol route, they're more likely to see hook baits that are a bit more visual, I guess, standing out in a clearer area, thinking, oh, what's that? That's by itself, that's a bit more high vis. Yeah. As you said before, as they come in and start hitting the spot, this area grows, doesn't it? The stuff will move. It won't prominently sort of stay as a C, but that's why I like to start the spot off now when I can, if I've got the ability to do it by boat. Or if you're fishing sort of close range as well, you've got a bit more control over the spawn, or catapult work, I suppose, as well. So yeah, I do like to try and shape my spots now, as opposed to sort of range spots. But yeah, that gives an idea of Joe's insight to my bit of madness. But mate, thank you very much. No problem. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to go and grab the fishing bloggers now and see what their sort of ideas are for it. So there you go, guys. As if by magic, I've got the next guests here, which are the fishing bloggers. Welcome, guys.
Hello, thank you very much.
Welcome, welcome. So here's my perfectly spotted area at 90 yards.
Yeah, nice. I'm impressed. Accurate. It's not what I've seen on your videos.
No, mate, I am one of the world's worst when it comes to spotting. But the scenario of the film is spotted areas, and I know probably in our mind's eye we'd all love to be able to do this at sort of 80, 90 yards. But predominantly we always find a mark, find our spots, we put the spot out, and then we just put our hook baits as near as we damn to it in our mind's eye. So if you're faced with this scenario, if I give you a rig each, where would you be placing your rigs if this was the scenario? Bearing in mind the rods are that way, fishing up to the spot from where the viewers are watching.
So I think personally, if I was fishing over particle, I would be looking at, in the ideal world, as tight as possible. So for me, probably I would be looking as close to sort of like centre of the spot, probably towards my rod side. You know, generally thinking of, unless it's really deep, the swim back will probably do it enough for me, rather than changing the sort of distance of the rods and all that stuff. But I would be aiming towards the centre of the spot, the sort of the heart of it as such.
So they all come in and they're just smashing it up and, you know.
All getting sort of, dropping their guard and hopefully nailing one.
Right, okay. John, what are you saying, mate?
I mean, mine's probably going to vary depending on what's surrounding the spot.
Yep.
So I think it would depend on sort of what's on either side, what's in front of it. But generally speaking, if I was going to fish a spot like this, it's probably going to be up against some weed or something like that, ideally.
Yep.
But I would like to think I would probably fish at the front of the spot, so my line's not coming through the area, in the idea that the fish are probably more confident to pick off the edges first, and then potentially move into the spot once I started getting bites, and they were maybe getting more confident and getting on the feed a bit more. So
Right.
I'd probably start there and maybe move into it a little bit
As you start getting action
as I get
through the
action,
session.
as I get more committed to the spot.
Right, okay. In terms of the amount of bait we like to put in at the start of the session, people say I've put X amount of spoms in. Working on the large spom, how much spoms do you think is here?
Oh, that's a real good question. 8.
Okay, 8, what are you saying, Sean?
It's a short video.
20, 25?
25.
Yeah, Joe said exactly the same. Joe said 25, and it will surprise you, there's actually 10.
Is it?
10 spoms. It was mad. I put literally 10. That's measured up to a large spom, and there was 10 of them. But it just surprised me how much bait is. People say I'm going to just start off with just put 10 spoms out, but it's actually quite a lot of bait, isn't it?
Quite a bit,
It's enough to get them going, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, and I just think I'm just trying to show people in the mind's eye what they think is out there is actually more than they're actually thinking is. You know, by starting off softly, it's actually 10 spoms is not softly, is it really?
Not at all.
You know, so going forward, I'd probably 4 or 5 would you go after this to start with on a session, or?
For me, it depends on the stock.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely no more than that probably. Yeah, so.
I mean, I think most venues I would probably go in with sort of 10 to 12. That's probably my starting point normally.
Yeah.
If I'm fishing, say 3 rods, but then I don't think that's a lot of bait if I had 3 rods on the spot.
Right.
I think if I was fishing 1 rod there, then that's probably quite a bit of bait. So, but I would probably only put 4 or 5 over 1 rod. So I think it depends on how many rods you're going to commit to the area. Like, it's quite a nice spot. You know, if I could fish this, you know, with 3 rigs perfectly on the edge of it, I'd be happy fishing that situation with 3 rigs there.
Yeah.
I think it depends on.
To be fair,
venue
mate, let's
a
be
bit,
honest, if you had 3 rigs, one of them would be in a tree above us. So.
Probably.
Right, I'm going to hit the fast forward, the magic of editing now, and give you another scenario that I tend to do a lot with my fishing. So I'm going to hit that fast forward button.
No worries.
All right. And we're back in the room. There you go, guys. So I do a lot of my fishing predominantly by boat. And the reason I've done that, just to show you, I've got the ability to bait in this sort of shape. And I've always done really well on a baited area by having this sort of C sort of section, I suppose you would call it, where it allows me to hand precision put in my bait. And, you know, and I know there's the benefit of doing that by a boat. When I'm out in the boat, it's a lot bigger than this, but just for the benefit of the film, we're just condensing it to this area. But I just want to know your thoughts on the benefits of having this as an area of bait, and once again, where would you put your hook baits if you were fishing the C section of a baited area?
Well, listen, this is a really interesting one for me, and if I'm honest, not fishing from a boat very much, not something that I could ever really achieve from the bank, but you can see the benefits in my eyes that if the fish are coming in what is almost like a very tight curved trough, isn't it? If you think of like cattle feed.
This is Bill and Ben, by the way.
Bill and Ben,
Bill and Ben, the commons.
Definitely coming in with wide eyes and smiles on their face. But yeah, you are keeping those fish away, whereas we had to spread in between almost. You know, you're keeping them fully away from your lines potentially, like you say, with some precision drops. So for me, you know, a lot of the underwater we watch, they come in really sort of gingerly and they literally take a bite or two. So
they do, don't they? They drop down and got off,
and
don't
they're
they?
off 1 mouthful. So I may go for a sort of tactical start drop right on the edge.
Okay.
So maybe even more so right into that first pile actually. So I've got no lines coming into the baited spot, but actually they've come in, I've got a chance of getting an early bite where they've come in and one of their first mouthfuls has got the hook bait in it. Yeah,
nice. Okay. Moving on to you, Sean, what are you saying, mate?
Well, are we talking just 1 rod?
I'm going to say, well, it would be 2 rods onto this area, because it is a bigger area, but in your mind's eye, what do you think is the benefit of that shaped spot? And if you were presented with it, where would you put your 2 rods then?
I think I'd say the benefit is the fact that you've basically got more access to the bait, really. So instead of it just being a big spread, the bait's obviously sort of narrowed down, so the fish can come inside it and come in from the outside. So in theory, you could just have the whole area surrounded by fish either side. Whereas on a baited spot, the reality is fish probably ain't going to get committed right to the middle of it. They're going to feed around the outside of it. So I think fish can probably get on the bait a bit more, so more fish can potentially access it. That's how I view it. I don't know if that is the case, but like, I've never fished that before. I've done a little bit of boat fishing in France years ago, but I would never have thought of doing that, to be honest. Honestly, in terms of rig placement, not really sure, because I've not done it. I mean, part of me would say similar to Hugh, like positioning a rig sort of on the outside, thinking the fish might sort of come at it from that direction. Either that, or maybe even quite literally sort of in the middle, so the line's as far away, I guess, from the bait, in theory, I guess. But I don't know, really. It's a thinker, you know. It's not something I've done, so it would literally be trial and error for me. But I think either sort of in the middle here or possibly on the edge. But I'm not too sure.
I think you've got a good point there. If you've got two rigs, you could put slot one right down the middle, so your line's staying away from the feeding patches, and try one on the edge if you're hand placing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we'll go with.
Great stuff. Okay, fantastic. Well, it's great to get different anglers' views, that being Joe and the fishing vloggers as well. So guys, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for your thoughts, and I'll let you get back to your swims, get your rods out, and hopefully we might have to get a few fish on the rest of the session.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope so.
Good luck clearing this up.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Spot on. So moving on to islands and margins. Margins been probably one of my favourite methods to fish. Absolutely love it, and it's what's accounted for that beautiful 24-pound mirror that we had earlier today. And I caught that through a method that I call the Hansel and Gretel approach, which is basically leading the fish to the hook bait. And I've done this for many years. If I'm fishing into or up to pads or snags or up to islands as well, I think if you can get a line of bait, rather than just putting, casting the hook bait to the margin where you're going to fish or up to the island, think about leading the fish to the hook bait. So rather than just a small patch of bait and hoping one drops down onto it, by spreading the bait a little bit more on that patrol route, in those margins, they'll start dropping down, eating the bait. The confidence grows as well with that, and eventually they'll get to that hook bait and they'll nail it. And that's exactly what I've done here at Merrington this morning. We have been blessed to be able to use the bait boats on this session because it is a lake exclusive. I took advantage of that. I've sent the bait boat down to my left-hand side, tucked it right under a bush where there's no way I could have cast there. It wouldn't have happened. So that is the beauty of using a bait boat. But with that as well, instead of it just being a hook bait and a clump of bait next to it, I went down there as well, and I've flicked freebies as well along the marginal sort of patrol route, if you like. And with that, wherever the fish are on that margin, if I'm just targeting one little area, well, I've only got that area to work with in a hope that a carp turns up on that area. But if I literally spread the bait down the margin, I've got more chance of grabbing the carp's attention. As they start feeding, their confidence grows. They work their way down the Hansel and Gretel approach, down that sort of line of bait. Eventually, they're going to get to the hook bait. We get the pickup, we've got the fish, and that's exactly what happened this morning on that margin spot. Yeah, give them a line of bait, lead them to the hook bait is what I'm trying to say. So that sort of covers your margin sort of work. Now, same scenario for islands as well, especially here at Merrington. We've got 2 or 3 islands down the bottom there. Now, if you look at that from the drone footage, you can see there where you're going to have carp moving in and out, and everyone does the same, or a lot of people do. They'll cast to the edge of the island, they'll catapult a few baits round it, and that's it. Well, for me, that's only one scenario. You've only got one chance. Look at that cut through there. And what I'm trying to do is think outside the box a little bit. How many carp are going to be passing through that cut through? And if you're only targeting that one spot on the island, so many fish on that side are going to miss your bait and don't even know it's there. But if you were to bait a line connecting the 2 islands, however the fish approach it, it's going to grab their attention. They'll drop down, and once again, it's that Hansel and Gretel approach, giving them that line of bait, leading them to the hook bait, leading them to the edge of the island that's in your water, I suppose. Predominantly, that's what you're trying to do. And I've always found it works really, really well when we talk about sort of baiting spots and baiting strategies and scenarios, especially on islands, that works wonders. Having that line of bait stops them in their tracks. their heads go down and they're literally following the trail. Their confidence grows. You get to your hook bait and hopefully that's a pick-up fish. It's just giving you something different to think about in a baiting scenario is what I'm trying to do when sort of looking at margins and islands. So something to go forward with, food for thought there on those sort of scenarios. So that covers predominantly your main 3 areas of fishing: open water, margins and islands. And I just think if you put that into your angling, or give it a go at least when you're next out there, just if you're faced with the same sort of scenario, give it a go. In terms of this session, the rods are out for the night ahead. Well, I say night ahead, they're actually being reeled in a few hours because we're going for a lovely social shortly up to the cafe at Merrington for a bit of a meal, a few beers, exchange stories, probably a bit of banter, and then back to the rods later. And then, yeah, we'll get them back onto the spots for the night ahead, and then we're off early in the morning. So between now and then, I will keep you posted. If anything happens, you shall be the first to know. So the next few hours passed uneventful, and it was off to the social we went. A great time to catch up with the guys, discuss tactics, banter, and generally take the piss, as you do. It's a great social area at Merrington, and even Hound Dog Henry had his own social too. The food is fantastic, and I highly recommend the house lasagna. By 4 p.m, we were back in the swim and clipping the bobbins on for the night ahead. With the venue fishing a tad slow, it was a case of trap set and fingers crossed. Well, a very good morning from me and the sleepy little hound here. Absolutely flat out again. Laziest dog in the world, this one. But yeah, it's raining, it's drizzly, it's damp. We've got a wet pack down ahead. Nobody likes a wet pack down, do we? There's an hour left of the session, but a very quiet night was had, guys. Really, really quiet. Not so much as a beep. And yeah, I think it's been that sort of way this half of the lake, to be fair. The guys opposite me have been very quiet. Joe and Hugh next to me on the right, they've had a quiet night as well. But the guys down by the islands, it's been doing a few fish, so I think there is quite a few numbers down that sort of half of the lake. We had that massive wind pushing down there yesterday. There's nobody in swim 1, so you've got no pressure down that end. I just think there's quite a good number of carp that have headed down there, and as they're starting to come back into the lake now, the guys are picking them up as they're coming through the islands and into the main body again. If I was staying the rest of the day, I think as they start to migrate back up into this area, we might have a chance later on, but sadly we are out of time. But can't complain, we've had a beautiful 24 pounder on this session, which sort of cements my sort of thoughts and processes towards that Hansel and Gretel approach on the margin area. And if you're fishing open water, and just to summarise, guys, I just think, you know, if you're going fishing next time, think about your baited spot, think about the shape of the spot, because it will pay you dividends back, I promise you. You know, end of the day, what we're doing, we're carp anglers and we're setting traps, and I just think setting the trap, you can do it a little bit differently with the baiting up aspect, and thinking about the ways and the carp come in, the way your line angle goes into the area, and sort of shaping a spot, whether you're doing that via the boat or catapult or spom. There's a little bit more we can do rather than just putting, you know, a patch of bait out. You know, think about that shape of the patch is what I'm trying to say. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you ever so much for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe. And from me and the sleepy little hound here, as you can see him, flat out, absolutely flat out. It's not doing it. There you go. There you go. The sleepy hound. From me and him, we'll bid you a farewell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.